How's everybody doing on this Victory Monday? First one of the year. Hopefully there are many more. But Sacred Eagle, what's going on, guys? Today, I wanted to take some time to, reflect on the game, because last night or yesterday was really just, right fresh out of the gate, just my initial reaction after the game had ended and during the game and everything. So I wanted to talk about some of the concerns, because a lot of people have concerns, and well, quite frankly, I'm one of them as well. I mean, it was a great win. It was a good win. We got the job done. That's all that really matters, right? But there are some areas of concern, and specifically one area, because let's face it, this entire team did not play in the preseason. They didn't have enough snaps or reps, in-game reps, to really, warm themselves up and get ready for week one, despite, everyone really just focusing on health and condition. That's really it. You really could tell that they just weren't ready. And with all that aside, seeing them in the first half with that little wake-up call, being down 20-7, in the third and fourth quarter, wake up offensively and defensively, all stages of the game. I talked about it before. They needed to execute on all four stages the entire game to win this game. But the Redskins did the exact opposite of what we did. They died out late in the game. They simmered down. We kind of sparked and stayed afire. Like, we just stayed lit, really. The fires kept burning and kept growing when the Redskins started to not. It's that simple. And we took advantage of the Redskins. Not only that, but when they had chances to make some plays, they either overthrew open wide receiver, dropped a couple passes, penalties. We had one drive that was ruined by a Deshaun Jackson penalty, which granted wasn't all truly his fault. He just got caught after Quentin Dunbar jabbed at him first. You can't really do anything about that. That was the referee not being able to see what initially happened. You can't really say anything about that. There's no excuse there. But of course, you don't want to see that happen in any circumstance. Of course. But the biggest thing is that overall, the Eagles won the penalty battle. Normally, the Eagles are ones that struggle with penalties, especially on big-time drives where we need to execute and we need to score some sort of point, keep the momentum flowing in our favor. Yesterday, that's exactly what happened. Or the opposite of what happened, rather, of what normally would happen. We didn't have many penalties. Most of the penalties came in the fourth quarter on Vaitai coming in for Brandon Brooks, who's trying to pace himself because he's back off of an ACL tear, surgery, recovery, rehab, all that stuff. He's back. He tore that in the Saints game. It's freaking 8 months ago. And he's playing already, which is insane. That's crazy. And I'm happy with how disciplined the team was. And even when we were losing, when we were looking like we were really bad, nobody got upset. Nobody was throwing fits or anything. Like last year, we saw Carson get a little bit upset against the Saints in November. We saw Doug looking really upset. We saw the only person I truly saw against the Redskins looking upset was Jason Kelce. But Jason Kelce's a really emotional guy. You saw it during the Super Bowl parade. Normally he's a really quiet guy, but when he gets pumped up over something, when he gets amped up, he's going to get amped up. And I saw it yesterday a little bit on the sideline when they showed him in the second quarter. He was looking a little bit upset. And I mean, can you blame him? He's a Kelce. Look what happens with Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce gets kicked out of games because of how heated he can get. And I mean, clearly there's going to be some of that in Jason Kelce as well. So, but that's really it. Nobody looked like they were upset at anybody. Everybody kind of kept their heads leveled and stayed. I wouldn't say optimistic or anything like that. I would just say they stayed where they knew where they were and they knew what they had to do. And like you hear people like Baker Mayfield after getting blown out say, "We know what we are. We know who we are and what we can do. And that's all that matters." That's what the Eagles knew. The Eagles showed that they knew what they could do, and they went out and did it after struggling a little bit to get up to that point initially. So the defense is the biggest concern. The defense in the first two quarters is the biggest concern, just because of how well Case Keenum went about just destroying our secondary, picking us apart. And it looked really bad, yes, but I mean, at the end of the day, we always knew that our corners were going to be the biggest issue. Jalen Mills is still on the PUP list. He's not going to be back for a couple of weeks, even if he's ready to be. I don't expect him to be back until middle of October with whatever foot injury he has. We don't know anything about it. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out, and hopefully he'll be ready to play for winter, because that's really from November, from late October into December, that's when we'll need our starters, everybody, to really be on their A game, like truly 100%. Like right now, we're just winning the games, getting started, getting our bearings straight. We're getting where we need to be right out of the gate. Essentially, we're at the starting point of everything, and the defense struggled to get some pressure, which they ended up doing later on in the game. There was no sacks on Keenum, but honestly, those are just extra stats that I don't care about. Brandon Graham got to him a couple of times. The thing about Case Keenum, you really just need to get to him. We saw that what happened in the championship game against the Vikings. Ooh, excuse me with the hiccups. I'm trying to not have that happen. But what happened in the championship game with Keenum in 2018? We got to him once. He threw a bad pass, and we picked sixed him. We scored that touchdown, that defensive touchdown, and after that, we never looked back. We kept pushing the pressure onto him. Once you get pressure in Case Keenum's face, even if he knows it and tries to pick it up, getting to him, getting close enough to make him feel uncomfortable, that's the biggest thing that you have to do to beat him. And in the third quarter, when we really needed to, after scoring the touchdown to get us within 6, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, our linebackers, everybody was starting to get up there, and we managed to put pressure on them and completely shut down the run. They were one-dimensional, and they knew it too, and that's the biggest thing about the Redskins, and that's the biggest issue with the Redskins. The quarterback right now, he's just a placeholder. Eventually, there's going to be Haskins that's going to be throwing the ball for the Redskins, but they also need wide receivers, and of course, Adrian Peterson was not a part of that whole conversation either. He wasn't playing yesterday, so I'll talk about it more in my picks video on Wednesday, but once this week, comes up, the Redskins are playing the Cowboys. They're going to need Adrian Peterson. If they want to win that game, Geis is not going to be enough. You need Adrian Peterson to be there to play, because when there's not enough room for somebody to run, Adrian Peterson can make some room just by being Adrian Peterson, by moving the line, breaking tackles, being the brute force that he is. I'm surprised he didn't play against us yesterday. And if he did play against us yesterday with how bad we played in the first half, that could have been a completely different score, completely different game. So, overall, I won't say that we're lucky, because at the end of the day, it was the coach's decision, and it was the coach's game plan. And what we played against was the Redskins essentially at their best. Of course, yes, without Adrian Peterson, but that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the Eagles managed to overcome a lot of adversity. Carson Wentz managed to lead the team back from a 17-0 deficit and go on to win basically 32-3 after that point. Overall, did really well. It's just the defense applying pressure consistently, and of course, the secondary is always going to be an area that we got to focus on the most, because Rasul Douglas is a big name that I want to worry about right now, because we saw him get burned a couple of times by the same receiver. Ronald Darby needs to capitalize off of opportunities. He had a couple of chances where he could have intercepted a ball and he wasn't able to. He needs to be able to come down with that pick, because that's a big momentum shifter, especially depending on what the situation is. We could have definitely used that in the first or second quarter yesterday. So overall, the team as a whole, this is exactly what I expected, really. It was a rusty game, but at the end of the day, we saw a lot of good. There's a lot of good, and of course, there's always a lot of bad. It's never 100% amazing and 100% terrible. There's always some good and some bad. The defense needs to keep applying pressure consistently. And Jim Schwartz, if he has to, you have to break and give your team more pressure. You need to apply more pressure if we're not being able to get there without applying extra pressure. Our defensive line, now losing Malik Jackson as well, is going to definitely need a lot of blitzing and a lot of more unique ways to get pressure aside from just using your front four. So let me know what your biggest area of concern is for the Eagles. And I'll talk to you guys this week, making some more picks, breaking down Atlanta versus Eagles, because that's going to be a very fun and much different game. This is the first time Carson is playing Atlanta since 2016. Even with Foles and Wenson, the Eagles are 3-0 in the last 3 years against this team. So I have high hopes against the Atlanta Falcons, who did not look too well against the Minnesota Vikings. See you guys later. Have a great day.